so you're thinking about moving to Dorado Hills, California?
Well, you're in the right place.
Definitely. Today we're going to be talking about all of the pros and cons of living in this beautiful suburb of Sacramento, California that is Dorado Hills.
Yeah, that's great. And then if you're new to the channel, definitely want to subscribe, right?
Yeah, go ahead and hit the subscribe button below. Hit that bell for alerts so that you can be the first one to know about everything and anything about living in Sacramento, California. And we are Renee and Mike with the Friedrich team here at eXp Realty.
And that beautiful channel, Living in Sacramento.
Absolutely. So thanks for joining us, and let's just get right in it.
Right, and I mean, let's not forget, if you're ready to move in a week, in a month, or in a year.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. We actually hear from clients like you every single day, and the whole team loves it. So definitely reach out. All of our contact information is below in the description. So let's jump into Dorado Hills.
All right.
That's actually where our office is. So we are very, very familiar with Dorado Hills and definitely all the pros and cons. And
well, we moved ourselves here in 2011, right?
We did. Yep. Yeah. So we've been in and around EDH, that's the short, for quite some time. And I would say one of the biggest pros, in my opinion, is you get that small town feel, but you're close to all the big city amenities. So, depending on if you're an introvert or an extrovert, like maybe everybody knowing you, maybe that isn't such a great thing, but I love it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I like it, but we are not introverts, right?
Well, you are sometimes.
Depends on the day.
Yeah.
But I think but it's also a con, right? Because we have kind of two town centers.
You do,
right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about this real quick. Yeah.
We've got the big town center, which if you guys haven't watched the video of my walking tour of Dorado Hills, I actually start in town center, which is, it's literally called Dorado Hills Town Center. And the neat thing there is that there's concerts all the time. There's tons of food and shopping. And that's kind of a made up town center. The city, well, we're not a city, but the town of Dorado Hills created this, really nice mecca for our residents where it's really a gathering place. But it's not truly the town center. It's actually south of the main part of Dorado Hills.
Right. And then on the opposite side, right, because we kind of the long way, and then you have a town center on the right side and a town center on the left side. Mm-hmm. That's more the older town where until just recently we had a really cool place called Purple Place.
Well, let's not dwell.
No.
They're going to make a comeback. We just don't know where yet. But there's the saloon down there, Dorado Hills Saloon and Grill. You've got Cascada. You've got some breweries, some great other Mexican restaurants, some pizza, Safeway. There's all kinds of stuff on that side of town as well. And yes, so it kind of divides the town. And literally, though, everywhere you go, you're going to see people that you know once you've been here for any amount of time, especially if, you have kids and they do sports or recreation or anything like that.
Yeah, I love that part. And that's definitely a pro, I would say, right?
Yes.
And I mean,
maybe not for the kids, though, because they can't get away with anything. Somebody always sees them if they're up to no good.
Which is good when you're a parent.
For sure.
Right. And then the one thing that I also want to mention on that side of town, you're closer to the lake too, right? So which is probably another pro we want to talk about, maybe?
Yeah. I mean, proximity to Folsom Lake is definitely a pro. We were having dinner with some friends last night that live over in the Promontory, which is one of the neighborhoods that we toured on that walking tour. And their proximity to Folsom Lake compared to some of the other communities that we talked about, like Blackstone and Serrano and, Bridlewood, they're just right there and just some gorgeous views. They don't have a lake view. They complained about that last night. The house we sold them didn't have a lake view. It's got a lot of other amenities though. But yes, you've got the lake that's very close too.
Right. And with the lake comes all the hiking and the biking. There's so much to do. We mentioned it in multiple videos.
Yes.
I think that's overall a pro for the entire region, not just Dorado Hills, right? That we have so much outdoor activity, if that's what rocks your boat.
Yes.
Right?
Boat, literally. So the con, though, I would say one of the cons for Dorado Hills is definitely the cost of living. So it is one of the more affluent communities in and around Sacramento. We're about 45 minutes-ish to downtown if there's light traffic, and maybe a little bit faster if there's no traffic.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely one of those desired places. We have a lot of C-suite employees that live up here in Dorado Hills and commute down into the Sacramento area for their big time jobs. We've got lots of people that work in the Bay Area, especially because of, COVID and all of the working in place. Lots of companies have stayed flexible on that. So we have a lot of really high earning people here in El Dorado Hills. In fact, we have got a population of about 47,000, and median income is 132,000. So
yeah, but then the median home price is also 960,000, right?
Yeah, so that cost of living is high.
Yeah, it's high, but it's gorgeous. So if you can afford it or you want to afford it, it's definitely worth the trip up here, right? We say up here, although it's not really that.
It's not super high up, but it is at the base of the foothills as you're coming out of Sacramento, right past Folsom, and then you're getting into the foothills, and just past El Dorado Hills, you do start to get into higher elevations, and so. While El Dorado Hills rarely gets snow, it is right at that level where, every couple of years or so, we might get a little sprinkling, dusting of snow, which makes it fun too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And then it's built into like Renee said, it's the foothills, right? So it's built into the hill, a lot of communities. So you have, like, for instance, where we lived at the valley floor. But then, 200-300 yards away, and 200 feet up,
right.
you live on a ridge, and you have gorgeous views of El Dorado County, and even down into Sacramento County.
I was just going to say that.
I know you were, so I was just trying to be faster.
The one thing to think about with that, though, with being built into the foothills, is there's a lot of yards that do this, and then there's a lot of yards that do this. So we don't have a lot of level lots in El Dorado Hills. It's pretty rare. I just had a client tell me that she wanted to have a yard big enough to build a tennis court, and it was hard for me not to chuckle just a little bit. Because, first of all, tennis courts are big. They're like 2,300 square feet. I didn't know this until she asked me about it. And
never not learning.
Never not learning, never not working. And so anyway, like, that's going to take a pretty big backyard to be able to accommodate a tennis court. So I said, we're going to either have to increase your price point, or, maybe you drive down the street to play tennis.
And I think since you brought that up, one goes up, one goes down, right? So depending on what side of the street you live, you have either beautiful view of the front and then a backyard that goes up like that, or it's the opposite, right?
Right.
So you just never know.
And then there are those, circumstances where we do find that perfect level lot, and they're just a little bit few and far between. And it definitely gives the thing I love about El Dorado Hills, and the reason we moved our family here that many years ago, is the landscape. There's just, the geography is interesting. You get the best walks in. Oh my gosh, the hills around here, like, they are killer. So really good exercise too. But we were talking about the cost of living. And
cost of living, yeah, but then we had to throw in a little bit positive stuff too, right?
Of course, you always do. Yeah,
I try.
Always on the bright side. One of the things that I was thinking about when we were getting ready to do this video, and when we were coming up with our list, is that affluence, that also has its own cons kind of built in. So we have always been very like, hey, work hard, earn money with our kids. We have teenagers. One of them's almost 20. And the affluence and the influence up here is pretty incredible. So we always told our boys, like, hey, save your money, and whatever you save for your first car, like, we'll match that for you. So they bought very conservative, reliable, but not super flashy cars.
Well, not by their choice, right? Because, they had what they had available.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And so you drive down to Oak Ridge, which is the local high school, which is, definitely one of the pros that we'll get to in a couple of minutes. But you drive down the road, and there's kids driving brand new Lexuses, brand new Mercedes. I just saw a really young kid driving a brand new Tesla the other day, and it's just like, oh my gosh, the amount of wealth up here can be mind-boggling sometimes. So just, I would say, like, sometimes you need to keep the kids' feet on the ground a little bit and have them work for things.
But that's a different video, right? That's like parenting video, and
that's not what we're here for. Sorry, guys.
Wait for that channel someday.
No, never.
No? Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I think another con is rattlesnakes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should have gone back to a pro before we talked about the ugly snakes.
But I kind of snuck in the pro with the living earlier.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, we do have a lot of nature and a lot of trails, and with that comes wildlife. So we've got a good number of snake sightings every year in our different communities. We've been really lucky. I should, knock on some wood here, that we haven't run across it too much. But our neighbor in Serrano, where we used to live, she she had a whole, like several baby rattlesnakes, and they had to have the fire department come. They relocate them.
They relocate them.
Yeah.
That's very important for our animal lovers here.
Yes, right? That's true. They do relocate the snakes, and there's some other services that will eradicate them.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think there is.
Well, we'll see.
Or just have a shovel handy.
That's very controversial.
Right. That's us, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you do want to be aware of that, though. So we take our dog, Piper, to get vaccinated. She gets a rattlesnake vaccine every couple years whenever she's due for that. And you just really have to be mindful and just watch where you're walking.
Yeah. So, I mean, on that note, you're wearing special outfits, right? When you show property?
We do show a lot of country property. And so, yes, I bought cowboy boots just for helping our real estate clients that want to buy, an acre or more of land, because I did not want to find a snake in my high heels. That didn't sound appealing. So, Yep, I've got showing boots, we call them.
I love it. And I mean, aside from rattlesnakes, we are a pretty rural county, so you will have mountain lions occasionally, and chicken hawks, and you name it, everything that comes with nature.
Yes. So. Yeah, we ran into, so Piper and I walk quite a bit, and Mike joins us sometimes, and we've run into coyotes, and we have had a rattlesnake cross our path before, so we just kind of waited and let it kind of go across at its leisure, and then we picked up the pace again afterwards. And yeah, I think that's all I've seen is coyotes and rattlesnakes. Yeah. And
so, nothing crazy.
Yeah.
You get used to it.
You do.
Okay, now you should do something positive again.
I should, yeah. So, I would say that being in El Dorado County, it's definitely a little bit different vibe than being in Sacramento County. So Sacramento is literally just on the other side of El Dorado Hills in Folsom, but we've got that county line right between Folsom and EDH. And so, with Sacramento, you've got city, county, and state government all in one place. So to have something happen there, it just takes kind of an act of God,
right?
Almost. Versus El Dorado is definitely a little bit more lax, and it's a lot more conservative as well. So if politics is important to you, I would say on the scale of things, we lean a little bit more conservative than liberal. Although with the recent influx of people coming in from the Bay Area, we've gotten a little bit more even. Yeah, it's a little more even.
I think you make out of it what you want to make out of it, right?
Right.
So
yeah.
But yeah, I love that part about El Dorado County in general. It's just a little bit more freedom.
So yeah, being in El Dorado County, there's just a lot more personal freedoms, I would say, that are pretty common versus in Sacramento County, where you've just got a lot more government all around you.
Right.
It's a smaller populated county, and so our county sheriffs and really all of the public officials are pretty accessible and very timely with their responses.
And they mingle, right? So you feel like a sense of community, and you feel safe, and they're timely, and you can compare it to a big city like Sacramento.
Right. Our Chamber of Commerce, Debbie does a great job of getting the electeds and the sheriff in for different mixers, luncheons, and so we're always hearing from them on what they're seeing, what's coming up. And like you said, they're accessible. And so it really does feel like, you could just call them up and go, hey, sheriff, what's happening over here? And you'd probably get a response.
And I think the most important part about that is that you, at least I have the feeling that they know what's going on. That they're not so removed from reality, if you want.
Yeah.
And because they're in the trenches with us every day.
Right.
Right.
Yep, definitely.
Cool. Well, now it's time for another con. Renee.
Okay.
So
Oh.
My favorite utility company. We are not going to get endorsements from them.
No, probably not. Although they have been working hard to make some changes with, some things. But PG&E.
Yeah.
So if you live in El Dorado County, you're going to be a PG&E customer. It's unavoidable.
Right.
Unless you get completely off the grid. And, if you can figure that out, call us. We want to know.
Yeah. But yeah, so unlike Sacramento County, where we have the Sacramento Municipal Utility Company, SMUD, PG&E services El Dorado County. And so for the most part, El Dorado Hills itself has connection to natural gas, right? But once you go a little bit higher up on Highway 50, Cameron Park, Shingle Springs, the natural gas lines stop. And then if you want to have gas, you have to go to propane.
Right.
But just know that PG&E electricity is significantly more than a Smart or Roseville Electric, for instance.
Right. I mean, substantially. So we have people that move here from Sacramento, or even just coming, down the street from Folsom, and that shock of the first utility bill, especially in the summertime, it happened to us.
Mm-hmm.
Our first summer PG&E bill, we had an inefficient pool pump. We were running the AC because it was hot, because it gets hot out here. And I think our first PG&E bill was like $800.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I
so we got
almost
solar.
Fell over.
We got solar almost immediately, and that really helped a lot. So you do see solar on a lot of the rooftops. There's some great incentives. So while PG&E, is not super desirable or affordable, there are ways to combat that and lower utility bills. And doing an energy efficiency audit on your house. There's a lot of different things that you can do, and if you want to do any of that, just reach out to us. We can get you connected.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, let's finish up with some
the schools.
Yes.
Yeah, we started talking about it earlier with Oak Ridge. Every single time we have a client coming from the Bay Area or from Southern California, or even from out of state, we do still have people coming into California. We promise. We check where money walks, and it's coming from other places.
And if you don't believe us, we can put the link in there from the Census
It's from the
Bureau.
IRS. Yeah. They actually track where money's coming in from. So most of the wealth that's coming into El Dorado County, and specifically into El Dorado Hills, is coming from the peninsula, from Santa Clara area, from San Francisco, from the East Bay. And most of those folks that are coming here are saying, we want to be in El Dorado Hills because we hear the schools are amazing.
Right. And they are.
Over and over and over again. That's what we hear.
And I think that's where the affluence comes in again, because of the income, one of the parent can stay at home, right?
We do have a lot of stay-at-home parents,
and they can use that time and be involved in the kids' schools. And the more involvement on the parent level in the school, I think the better the schools are.
Always,
right?
I mean, I guess you should never say never and always. And that's been our experience so far in the multiple different school districts that we've had the boys in. And so, yes, we've got multiple blue ribbon schools at the elementary. Oak Ridge is rated like A+. Some of El Dorado Hills actually slates to go up to Ponderosa or Union Mine. Both of those are greatly rated schools. The athletic program at Oak Ridge is bonkers. They're so good in so many different sports. We've got a great foundation through the school that the parents, really fund and run, that gives back, technology. And then they've even got, programs for kids that, maybe aren't on that college track, but, want to learn a trade. So we've got some really cool stuff that the Oak Ridge High School Foundation that they've done, giving back to classrooms so that kids can learn different trades. It's a little repetitive, but you get what I'm saying?
Yep. We get what she's saying.
So I think that's a huge, huge plus. And yeah, like Mike said, the parent involvement is amazing. The fundraisers that go on at the schools here, they're always well attended. They're always really successful. And so you see that, on multiple different levels, not just with, volunteering in the classroom, but also volunteering otherwise. And the school scores show.
Yeah. And then I think not necessarily school related, but on the recreational side of things, there's a lot of extracurricular stuff that kids can do. Little league, you name it. I mean, soccer. The soccer club is pretty active too. Super active. There is a ton of things to do for the kids.
Yes.
And for the adults too, because the one thing that's not even on our list, but I can just think of, is how close El Dorado Hills is to a lot of really top-notch wineries, because we live in wine country here.
Here we go, talking about wine again, you guys. Can't help it.
No, but I mean, in 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you are up in Placerville, Apple Hill area, where you have phenomenal wines, El Dorado County wines, and then we live, El Dorado Hills is 30 minutes, 35 minutes away from Amador County. And the fantastic wines.
If you love reds, it's totally a great place to be, especially Zins. We have some unreal Zinfandels, I think.
And little tiny villages too, like the city of El Dorado, not El Dorado Hills.
Mhm.
I mean, that's what, 25 minutes away.
Yeah.
And it has that old Western flair. We just went there the other day and had a hole-in-the-wall pizza place.
It was so good.
So good. So there's tons of stuff to do. A lot of entrepreneurial local stuff. That's what I like about the area most, right?
Yeah.
It's not your big box chain run stuff. It's all unique. It's all special.
We've got some really good food scene stuff happening, food and wine. I'll say there's a new tap house that's over in the La Brigada area, which is right near the Rayleighs. That's where Sienna is, if you guys are keeping track, at least for now. I heard a rumor they might be moving. We'll see.
Well, we'll see.
We love Sienna. That's also a local family that started that restaurant along with Land Ocean, which we talked about in our Folsom episode. And they just, in Town Center, they just opened a whole new theme restaurant or a new format restaurant. So, and yeah, like
we haven't even talked about this concert series. That's a pro.
That's definitely a pro.
No?
Yeah, I feel like we didn't finish our list very well.
No.
So the music scene and really community style music. So I talked about it on the video, the walking tour. But yeah, we do concerts in the park. They do big festivals where, like every Mother's Day, they do a wine and art festival. They shut down all of Town Center, and it's just vendor after vendor and wine tasting and art.
And then we have the farmers market every Sunday, right? And then the CSD concert series, a whole nother concert series in another location. There's no shortage.
Our CSD is a huge pro.
Yes,
actually.
Absolutely.
So they do camps for the kids in the summertime. They've got a really great pool that gets utilized like nobody's business. It's always full in the summer. And then even, like tennis lessons or tennis clubs, pickleball, jiu-jitsu, like you name it, all sorts of hobbies that you can get involved with. One of our clients used to do her jazzercise there and Zumba. And so like there's no shortage of things to do. That's for sure.
But I think you get the gist. Like there's a ton more pros than there's cons, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure. That's why
maybe we're a little bit biased because we used to live here too. And we sell here. And it's just a great community overall.
Definitely.
Right? So again, if you are new to the channel, please subscribe, hit the alert button to get updated with all the new videos that are coming out.
Yes.
And any last thoughts?
No, I mean, like Mike said earlier, if you're looking to move in a week, a month, or even a year, like we're here to help you make a smooth move to El Dorado Hills or anywhere in the Sacramento region for that matter.
All right, with that, thank you so much for tuning in.
Bye-bye.